Hey folks, hope you're doing good today. A bit of a different vid for this morning. What I thought I'd do is I've started on a new track that I started working on yesterday. After listening to all those mathcore and techie bands, got really inspired to do some of my own stuff, and I thought of a new way of writing some music. It's working out pretty well so far. It's the first time I've really kind of gone about it in this fashion, so I thought, well, we'll make a vid and just show you what I'm doing, and maybe it help inspire some other vocalists, maybe if they got writer's block or something like that, to get some ideas down in a different way. So we'll get Mixcraft up on the screen. I've got this all set out now. This is what I did yesterday, and I'll tell you how I went about this. I just wanted to create some really crazy, mathy, all over the place, dissonant type of music. But as we spoke before, it can be difficult to get those ideas down straight away, especially if you're trying to play to a click or something like that as well. So what I thought I'd do with this one is just go mad on the guitar, do some crazy improvisation, not to a click, not to a time signature like that, changing time signatures, drifting about all different time signatures, being out of time and all sorts of stuff like that to make it sound really loose, really weird and just a bit kind of dissonant and mathy and all of that kind of stuff. So I came up with this last night. I was pretty pleased. What I did is I just sat down at the guitar, got in the zone, jammed out as hard as I could, some crazy riffs, all the kind of crazy chords and stuff that I know, and rhythms and things like that. Just hit record, recorded it all down. It was all a bit of a mess, if I'm honest with you. But what I did then is tried to listen to the parts that sounded all right, had a good groove or whatever to them, and I've cut those out, and this is what we've got left. And then what I started to do is, as we've said before, you look down at the waveform, and as you can see, I started to match the drums to all these different spikes on the waveform. The red one's the drums, green is the guitar. And then what that helped me do is figure out where I want the bass drums to go, things like that. And suddenly I was starting to put the track together, even though it was really dissonant. And if you see these drum beats, they're all over the place. It's not in any kind of time signature. It drifts in and out of different times and different tempos and things like that. So the way I've had to do the drums on this is I've had to go in, check the waveforms, and as you can see, then I've been adding the drums into the waveforms and trying to make those sound natural and a bit kind of swingy and loose and all of that kind of stuff to make this music seem like it's really loose, not to a click track or anything like that, and it's just kind of a very natural recording. That's my aim with this project. So what I'll do now is I've got about a minute done already. I'll play the minute that I've done already, and then we'll just spend a few more minutes going through how I started to put the drums to the guitar riffs, because I've got more to do today. So let's just listen to what I got so far. What I did is a bit of an atmospheric start to get the kind of vibe and groove going. I got Kenneth Copeland speaking in tongues, ran him through a bunch of distortion and reverb and all stuff like that. So got a bit of synth as well in there already. So see what you think of this now. It starts out atmospheric and then it gets going. There's loads of distortion. I've actually got 4 different types of distortion on this one to make it really big, really kind of buzzy and cracky, and have a deep tone to it. Lots of reverb on the drums and on the toms. Just trying to make it mix up, interesting, offbeat. Just buzzed out guitars. It's all over the place. And that's all I've got so far. Put a nice little interlude in there with some samples, things like that. I'm still going to add some more synths and stuff just to make this really noisy, really kind of, whoa, what's going on here kind of sound. Still needs vocals and stuff obviously as well. But that's pretty much how far I've got. And as you can see, I've got a whole bunch more riffage here. That's all my improvised guitar. So what I thought we'd do now is just trying to figure out some, just show you how I did the drums on the new parts and try and figure it out. Oh, sorry about that. Shouldn't have done that. Just get this. We'll drag this over. This is just an empty drum slot to start keying in some MIDI sequences. As you can see, what I've got off up here is, you could probably do this in your own DAW. You can snap to grid, which means that it'll always snap to the time signature when you're moving it around. But because we don't want to do that, we're not working to a time signature. What I've done on this one is turned it off. So now we can slide it pretty much anywhere on the time scale, and we can keep it nice and loose, nice and natural, kind of offbeat, swinging all over the place, not right on the beat. That's not what I'm looking for. So yeah, so we'll try and line that up as best we can with the start there. And then we'll go into our drums. This is the MIDI sequence for the drums. As you can see there, this is the bit that we've done already, and this is the bit that we're going to work on now. So you're going to want to zoom right in. Let me just move this so we can see the waveform as well. You're going to want to set it up somewhat like this so you can see the drum, and then you can see the waveform as well, because we're going to want to see this waveform. We'll get it to the start here, and let's zoom in a bit. So let's just have a listen to it, get a feel for what we're going to be trying to put drums to, and see if we can figure out in our head while we're listening to it kind of how we want the drums to go. Now, you don't want to do about that much so far. Don't get too far ahead of yourself and thinking too far ahead. So I guess it's like that kind of stuff. Where's our bass drum? Here's our bass drum. So we'll drag that to the bottom there. So yeah, we're going to want some kind of double bass in here. Just put it in naturally. Don't worry too much about it at the moment. Just kind of slide it in. We're wanting to keep it natural. We're wanting to keep it as if the drummer hasn't got perfect to the click timing. That's not what we're looking for in this one. So let's just see if this is going to go anywhere near what we're sounding like. No, that's way too slow. So we'll have to zoom in a bit more. Make these a lot smaller. We'll just get rid of those. And let's just pump a bunch of these in and see how that sounds with a bit of double kick. As you can see, it comes up on here, so you can see it's kind of following the beat. Not really. We're probably going to be out on this one. Actually, that sounds not too bad. What you can do is, if you've got a couple of bits sorted like that, you just copy and paste them. We're going to clean all of this up afterwards. This is just getting the basic drum beat down. Do we want double kick on this part or not? I think we probably do. Yeah, something like that. So we'll copy and paste that a bit more, I think, just because it wants to go on a bit longer than that. This takes a while, but once you get into it, it starts flowing, and you'll get into it a lot quicker. So let's see how this sounds. Yeah, I'm into that. We'll keep going, because I think it's going to keep going a bit longer than that as well. So you just keep copying and pasting it in. We're going to sort all of these afterwards. It will take some time just to, make them sound natural, change some of the velocities, things like that. But compared to writing this all out and figuring it all out and then trying to write it down, yeah, this is a lot quicker. Okay, goes on too far this time because we've got this break in here, if you see. This part. So we want it to stop about here. So what you want to do is bring your cursor there. That lets you see where it is. That's right over here. So we've gone way too far. We'll just delete those and that one. Now let's just hear this part. Yeah, that sounds all right to me. We want a snare hit in around this part. So we'll put a snare there. That's not the snare. That's the snare. That's way too small for some reason. Make that a little bit bigger so we can actually see it. So let's see how this sounds. That's not in the right place at all. Let's go and listen again. Now it's difficult for me because there's a delay. When I'm recording, there's a delay between what I do on the screen and what actually comes through my earphones. So it makes it a bit more difficult to get it on the right spots and stop it in the right place because there's a delay. Yeah, there's a real delay actually, more than I even noticed. So I think this needs to actually go right back here. There you go, bit better now. We'll get a cymbal in there as well, just to add some cymbals. Put that where it is, where the snare hit is. Which is about there. Let's see how that sounds. There you go. Kind of in the right place, needs a bit of a tweak, it's just slightly out. But in a way, I kind of like it slightly out. As I say, I'm trying to make this natural, trying to make this sound as if it's, you know, loose, drunk players, things like that. Right, so I think that sounds all right. What I'm going to do now is add some, just drop them in like this, see if this works. If not, we can fix it afterwards. It's quicker to just drop it in and see how it sounds before you start tweaking it about. So let's see how this goes. Yeah, that's sounding all right actually. So we'll just finish that over the double bass parts. Something like that. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, sounding all right, getting some energy to it. Sounding a lot different to what we had with just guitar. So just a few seconds ago, we had this. Which doesn't sound all that great if just on its own, if I'm honest. But when you add a bit of drums, starts to sound a lot more like grind, starts to sound a lot heavier and interesting and gets context and things like that. So I only wanted to keep this short. I'll just do that part for now. But this just gives you an idea of how you can improvise some crazy guitar shit that you can only play once. You'll never be able to play it again because it's just straight off the top of your head. You just go in mad, not thinking too far ahead, just hitting the riffs, hitting the chords all over the place. And then you go in, look at the waveform, cut out the parts that sound crap, and keep the parts that sound good, and then just start to mold your drums to it. Don't worry about a time signature. Don't worry about keeping them in the beat. As you can see, these are all over the place. They're not on the beat. They're swinging all over the place. Just throw a bunch of cymbals and drum beats and stuff like that in. See if it works. Keep playing it. Repeat it through. If it doesn't work, tweak it about. If it works, move on to something else. You know, you're going to want to keep pushing through, get through it all, because we've got a lot to do here, as you can see. But as you can see, we've already done a little chunk here. So in a few more hours, you know, you'll be able to get this down. Probably took me about 3 hours to do about a minute's worth of music, but that was with synths, drums, with some samples and stuff in there. So it was, you know, I spent a bit of time doing some other stuff as well. I'm starting to build up a nice little crazy track here. Need to look for some vocals for it still. Might do some vocals myself, but I've not really got the throat anymore. But if you can do vocals, you just do the vocals yourself as well. Yeah, and you're starting to build up a nice technical, mathy, interesting, weird, no time signature, kind of really swingy type of track, natural sounding, not to a click, not to, you know, it doesn't sound like it's too all to the beat and everything like that, too on the beat. With this kind of music, it wants to be nice and loose, nice and swingy, have a lot of feel to it. And this is one way of achieving that within your DAW without it sounding too contrived and kind of fucked up. So yeah, I hope that was useful for you. This is something I'm going to be working on for the rest of today. And when I've got the track finished, I'll let you guys hear it all and see what you think. But hopefully that's going to be a good way for some guys to get some technical, interesting ideas that don't stick to any kind of time signatures, which is interesting music. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. We've got a video coming up later this afternoon. So yeah, see you around. Bye.